Welcome to Broncos Weekend, presented by Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Broncos Weekend. I'm Elisa Hernandez, the Denver Broncos team reporter, and next to me is former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin and Denver 7's Bradey King. The Denver Broncos are gearing up for back-to-back games on the road versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Jets. We will dive specifically into this Week 3 matchup. So getting right into it, guys, what is next for this team as they head off on this East Coast road trip?
I mean, a 10-day road trip, what better way to get to know your teammates? And I think it's great timing. They all seem really excited for this bonding experience that they're about to have in West Virginia. They're going to be staying at the Greenbrier. We were just talking about it. I Googled it. Looks very nice. So I'm hoping they can really band together and this will be a good experience. What do you think, O?
Yeah, just to kind of echo that, you know, when you're not playing the best football, you haven't won, right? You're struggling to get one of those wins in a win column. This might be the best thing for this football team, where you kind of take a step back, get together. It's almost like training camp all over again, where, you know, the family, the outside noise, all the different things that are going on is not going to happen over the next 10 days for this football team. So I really believe that this could be really good for this football team moving forward.
What kind of mentality do you kind of go into this, right? The season just started, like you said. Week 2, you're trying to get things to rhythm. They're not far off, I feel, from getting some wins. But what's the mentality that this team needs to have for this trip?
Us against the world. And I think it plays perfectly into it, because now you go to Tampa. After the game in Tampa, you're going to fly to West Virginia. You're going to be hanging out at the Greenbrier. Then you got to go try to get a win up there in New York. So it's a us against the world mentality from here on out, because the reality of football and all professional sports, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as what people are telling you are.
Yeah. Alex Singleton said earlier this week that this is the opportunity for them to really change the narrative the next 2 weeks of this season. Yes, they didn't get the fast start that they and everybody else was hoping for, but it's not doomed. They are 0-2, not great. They started the season last year 0-3, and I feel like they can turn it around, but these next 2 weeks will be crucial.
The Buccaneers are a tough defense, and the Broncos are going to have to go against another tough defense, but they've been dealing with some key injuries, including All-Pro safety Antoine Winfield Jr., who suffered a foot injury in Week 1 and then did not play in Week 2. How can the Broncos take advantage of that?
Well, the Broncos have played tough teams going in. They haven't had an easy road starting out. So I think hopefully they are getting some of those things that maybe you get out mid-season out earlier and learning some of their holes going into these bigger matches. But yeah, obviously going up against another tough defense and offense. Really, Baker Mayfield's playing his best football right now. So that's going to test the defense as well. So this is going to be another tough test for them for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. You know, you mentioned Antoine Whitfield being out, right? Vita Vea is also out. He's a grown man in the middle of that defensive line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, you know, you look at the opportunities that you have there with being able to run the ball when you don't have that guy with that caliber in the middle to stop the run. But also, I want to defer to head coach Sean Payton. And he talks about this week after the loss, he talked about just not knowing if all the different personnel packages running that in is really benefiting this football team. And let's simplify this thing. Let's create more continuity and get guys going and saying, hey, you know what? You're going to play 80% of the snaps. Now figure it out. You got to make sure that you're mentally conditioned, your body's physically conditioned. But I truly believe how that's going to benefit this team is it's going to help a young Bo Nix truly understand the catch radius for all of his pass catchers, but also it's going to help the offensive line get more in sync with the guys that are running the football, knowing that these guys are constantly going to get the plays, and you're going to understand their style of run and what they're able to do and not able to do as well.
Earlier this week after practice, head coach Sean Payton talked about the moves made on the offensive line after tackle Mike McGlinchey was placed on IR with a knee injury. Second-year tackle Alex Palczewski also spoke about taking his place in Week 3.
Certainly Mike's a veteran, and now, you know, Palcho is one of those guys that he's been competing, and I think, you know, we'll be smart relative to what we're doing protection-wise, but he's played in a lot of football games.
Excited to go out there and just try to help this team win and just kind of play for the guy next to me. That's the biggest thing that I always care about is offensive line is the only job where it's your sole job to protect someone else. So I'm just excited to go play for the guys in here and play my first game.
He's pretty excited about this opportunity. I think he's ready though.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of voices in that locker room, especially Mike, to kind of give him some advice. Mike is always a man of he's got a lot of words of wisdom, so I feel like Alex will be in good hands and be ready. And it is the next man up league, and he's playing in a very selfless position, arguably the most selfless position in football.
In preseason with Alex, they put him on the inside. And I think that's really going to benefit him in this week's start and playing in Tampa and being on the road for the next 2 weeks and really having that kick up to his career. Has played a lot of football games, hasn't had a lot of starts in this league, but I really believe what benefits him is understanding what to do as a guard.
That's true. And another guy that's been really impressive is cornerback Riley Moss to start the season. I had an opportunity to catch up with him this week to talk about the upcoming road trip where he feels he's improved the most and what he has learned lining up across from Pat Surtain. You guys are headed out for back-to-back road games. How can a trip like this be beneficial for this team?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to, kind of come together and try and, create a team identity. It's tough when, everyone's got families and everyone goes home to their separate lives and, we'll be together for 10 days. So it'll be good to be around the guys and build that.
You guys are going to build that up as you guys go against a very powerful Tampa Bay offense. How do you guys contain these two wideouts, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin?
Yeah, I think it's, trusting your leverage, having great eyes and trusting the defense that we're running. I think the biggest thing about them is just eliminating the explosive plays, and make them earn it down the field.
You have spoken specifically about adjusting in-game and playing clean football. How confident are you that this team can do that going into week 3?
Yeah, I have the utmost confidence. It's one of those things where, you have to build on, what happened last week, Seahawks, for example, that third quarter we didn't come out and play. I thought this past week against the Steelers, we came out ready to go second half. So it's just building off, each week, finding something to get better at and going from there.
You have also talked about getting better every single week. From week 1 to week 2, going into week 3, what have you feel that you've improved on the most?
Yeah, I think the 9-ball, I'm gonna continue to get tested, and it's one of those things, you can't back down, and you gotta have the the cojones, if you will, to keep fighting, keep pressing, don't shy away, and keep challenging the ball.
What have you learned from your teammate Pat Surtain? You've lined up across from him as you kind of see him go against these top receivers.
Yeah, I think he's the best in the league still, in my opinion. I think me and him, I think both kind of struggled last week with a couple holds, a couple PIs, and we got to be cleaner on that. We were just out there after practice doing some press releases and stuff. It's just learning to be patient because he's a very patient dude, and that's what makes him so good is just patience, and his breaks are always pretty clean, and he's got great eyes. So I'm just trying to pick every day something off of him and keep growing my game.
Appreciate the time, Riley. We'll see you in Tampa. He's smart to be learning from Pat Surtain, right? What are your thoughts on Riley Moss?
Absolutely. I saw them before the Seahawks game having a little moment together, and Pat kind of pointed him in the chest and really seemed to be firing him up. And I like that they have that relationship because Riley knows he's going to keep getting tested when you line up across from Pat Surtain. I mean, teams are going to go after you, and I like that he's embracing the challenge.
Yeah, you're not going to get bigger. You're not going to get stronger. You're not going to get faster as the season goes on. But you could work on your technique each and every week. You could focus in on that, and you could get better. You could find some little detail each and every week to get better because he is going to get a lot of action. He's going to continue to get a lot of action being across from All-Pro like PS2.
All right, guys. When we come back, Orlando Franklin and Hall of Famer Steve Atwater will break down Zach Allen's game and how that can help contain Buccaneers QB Baker Mayfield. Plus, we'll reveal the numbers you need to know ahead of week 3.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
I've known Baker for a long time. We trained together. He's had his ups and downs, and I think, he's playing the best football he's played. It's exciting for him, and hopefully we can slow that down.
Welcome back. That was outside linebacker Alex Singleton talking about the challenge of facing Bucs QB Baker Mayfield. A player that knows how to put pressure on quarterbacks is defensive end Zach Allen, who has recorded 13 total quarterback pressures this season, tied for 4th most in the NFL. For more, let's check in with Hall of Famer Steve Atwater and Orlando Franklin. Guys.
All right, thanks so much, Elisa. Orlando, now let's break down these 3 plays of Zach Allen's from the previous game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. First play here, Zach Allen's lined up right here over the right tackle. He's going to have a nice rush. I'm just going to let the thing play, and let me know what you see here with Zach Allen here.
Yeah, so the first thing I notice is this, the extension of Zach Allen, and that's how you want him to play. He is a taller guy playing at the defensive end position, and the Broncos play that 3-4 system, so it's going to be murky in those waters, right? When you battle in between offensive linemen, you got to be able to play with extension. And when you're able to lock guys out and now make your move and transition and get downhill, that's how you create pressure on the quarterback. So Zach does a tremendous job right here by getting his hands out, finding that open hole, and getting after the passer right there.
Yes, great job here. And all right, here's the second play. Zach Allen again, lined up between the guard and the tackle here. What do you see here, Big O?
Yeah, so I love these right here. This is a one-on-one right here that he has with number 78, the right guard. And what Zach is going to do is immediately after the ball is snapped, he recognizes that, oh, I have this guy. There is no help. The center has slid away. So he baits him and is able to get that offensive guard to get leaning forward. If you reach, I'll teach. And that's why you see him getting into that backfield, making a nice hit on the quarterback on this one. But this is the worst position that you could be as an offensive lineman right there, when your head goes forward. And Zach takes great advantage of that, exploding to Justin Fields and getting a misfire throw to move the down and move on to the next down.
Yeah, the things that I noticed about Zach, it seems like he plays to the whistle each and every play here. And this is the third play here. He's lined up at the right over the offensive guard there again, and he's going to fight through to make the sack on this play.
Steve, I was waiting for you to say it, man. You ain't gonna give your DBs love. This is a coverage sack. These are 100%. All the guys in the back end, the position that you play. You are in the Hall of Fame because of it, wearing that gold jacket. That's pretty. Could I borrow it one weekend?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. But this is what you call a coverage sack. These guys are getting after on the back end. Zach gets touched by 3 different guys, but he's playing through the whistle. That's what you got to do in order to find success. It's all 11 guys playing to the whistle. Starts off, guard blocking him, run a TE, now the tackle's on him, okay? Now the other guard from the other side who had pulled bumps into him. That's a great relentless effort by Zach Allen right there, and praising the man up above, because that's a great play, getting Justin Fields to the ground.
Now, his fierceness, how can that carry over to the rest of the guys? Can that be contagious?
Yeah, you put it on tape. And then Coach Vance Joseph, you go up there, you circle that in front of it. And that's how it becomes contagious. You put it on tape in your defensive meeting rooms, but also now when you're meet as a whole entire team, right? I want Bo Nix to see this. I want Cortland Sutton. I want everybody on this football team to watch 99 on this play, get blocked by 3 different guys, be relentless with his pass rush, and now great things happen because of it, right? So the back end rewarded him with some tight coverage, but Zach Allen rewarded this football team with his relentless effort.
Couldn't have said it any better. Hey, thanks so much, Joe. Great breakdown. Elisa, back to you.
Thanks, guys. Always good to hear both of your takes on the game. So, in Week 3, the Broncos begin their road trip. They face off against the Buccaneers for the first time since 2020. The Broncos holding a 9-3-1 all-time record on the road versus the Bucs. We did a deep dive and we found the numbers you need to know. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield has only been able to get 1 win when facing a defense led by Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. Mayfield is 1-3 in those matchups and has notched 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He has also posted an 83.8 passer rating. His only win dates back to his rookie season in 2018. All-time when facing the Broncos, Mayfield is 2-1. The Broncos won 4 of the last 5 matchups against the Bucs. Denver's defense will be on high alert versus Mayfield. In the first 2 weeks of the season, he's posted an 129.1 passer rating, which is second highest in the NFL, and has 5 passing touchdowns and 6 total touchdowns, both tied for first in the NFL. He is also averaging 9.7 pass yards per attempt so far this season, ranked second in the NFL. Taking a deeper look at the defensive end, Zach Allen has recorded 13 total quarterback pressures this season, tied for 4th most in the NFL. Denver is tied for 10th in fewest points allowed per game and ranks 9th in fewest yards per game allowed so far this season. They face a Bucs team that ranks 13th in the NFL in passing and are going against an offense that has averaged 28.5 points per game. Cornerback Pat Surtain II has gone up against the NFL's top receivers and will do it again in Tampa Bay. On the majority of coverage snaps in 2024, Surtain was lined up against the opposing team's leading receiver from 2023. Week 1, Surtain lined up against DK Metcalf on 88.9% of coverage snaps, while in Week 2, he was on George Pickens for 50% of coverage snaps. Surtain allowed 3 receptions on 4 targets versus Metcalf, but just 1 on 2 targets versus Pickens. For context, Bucs wideout Mike Evans led the Bucs in receiving yards in 2023 and has 10 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. There have been some close games through week 2 of the 2024 NFL season. 22 of 32 games have been decided by 8 points or less. This is tied for the second most such games in NFL history. Both games for the Broncos this season have been one-score games. The Buccaneers defense ranks 6th in scoring defense. During week 2 in the red zone, they held the Lions to 1 of 7. The Broncos are looking to improve their red zone efficiency after going 1 of 7 to start the year. The Broncos look to get their receivers going. Courtland Sutton currently leads the Broncos in targets so far this season with 16, while Josh Reynolds is right behind him with 13 targets. Reynolds leads Denver with 9 receptions for 138 yards. Denver's offense is looking to take advantage that the Buccaneers defense is dealing with multiple key injuries, including All-Pro safety Antoine Winfield Jr., who suffered a foot injury in week 1 and did not play in week 2. Since 2022, the Buccaneers defense has allowed a 95.8 passer rating when Winfield is off the field. When we come back, Denver 7's Bradey King will have your fantasy focus featuring one of the Broncos' top receivers, and we'll reveal which player versus the Bucs will call game. You're not going to want to miss this. We'll be right back.
Welcome back into Broncos Weekend. It's time for Fantasy Focus. Heading into week 3, we are going to highlight Broncos wide receiver Josh Reynolds. Reynolds led the team in receiving yards against the Steelers in week 2 with 4 catches and 93 yards, earning him 9.3 fantasy points. He's currently ranked 126th overall in the league and 33rd at his position, picking up 13.8 fantasy points through 2 games. He is still monitoring an Achilles injury and was limited at practice earlier this week, but he is expected to play on Sunday and shows promise to keep producing. The Broncos are set to go up against the 29th ranked passing defense in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, no player has caught a touchdown against the Bucs this season, and Bo Nix and the Broncos have yet to throw a touchdown pass this season, so hopefully both of those things change on Sunday. Earlier this week, veteran tight end Adam Troutman talked about the importance of getting that first win.
Like the next one's always the most important, right? And we're trying to get win number 1. And that's the most important thing on our minds. So this game is obviously very important.
You're going against Tampa Bay, which is not easy to do. Looking at those offensive weapons with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, this is a really big challenge for them this weekend.
Yeah, you got to be multiple with how, Vance Joseph chooses to call this defense. And when you look at Riley Moss and Pat Surtain, we know PS2 is going to take care of his business and he's going to bounce back. And rightfully so, because there's been a lot of people chirping him for what Pickens did last week. And I don't even think he had that great of a game. So I know he's going to be locked in. But when you look at Riley Moss now, you're going to have to give different things before the snap. Whether you're on Mike Evans or you're on Godwin, you're going to have to line up in press. You're going to have to line up at off coverage. Even when you're blitzing, give different looks. You might start off at about 12 yards back to try to give an illusion of doing something different. And that's going to be for all 11 guys out there on the football field, because right now Baker Mayfield's playing at a very high level, and they're doing some great things for him offensively and making him feel very comfortable. Mm-hmm. So how you combat that is now showing him something at pre-snap that it's not going to be after the ball is snapped to try to confuse him a little bit, where he's not releasing the ball as quick as possible.
And Bradey, you just mentioned Josh Reynolds as part of your fantasy focus. What can he kind of do?
Keep it simple, really. I think he is going to get targets, as Court is, but the more they can help Bo just get comfortable and get in a rhythm, the better it's going to work out for them.
So one of the main focal points, especially in practice, was the run game. They need to get that going. What needs to happen this week? Especially, again, you're going against this Tampa Bay defense.
No. So a couple years ago, I got a unique opportunity to coach with the 49ers. And when we were getting ready to play against the Rams, Kyle Shanahan walked in and said, hey, I'm going to run the ball 40 times this game.
Wow.
And as an offensive coaching staff, everybody's jaw hit the ground. Like, what do you mean you're going to run the ball 40 times? Nobody shows up to football games to watch a run fest.
Right.
That's the harsh reality. But that's how you get the run game going. That's how you create continuity. That's how you get the rhythm and the feeling. Mm-hmm. And can we get Tyler Bradey some more carries? 1 carry for 16 yards last week. Never saw him again. Mm-hmm. So it is about allowing these guys to really know that, hey, we're going to stick with this thing. No matter what happens, you guys are going to either take us to the promised land or we're going to lose this football game because of it. And if you instill that confidence in this offensive line that is built to run the football, each and every one of these guys, I think that's how you will find success in the run game.
And Sean Payton mentioned switching up the personnel and trying to figure out if what they're doing, I think that'll change as far as personnel and maybe what we see out there and how it works for them.
Yeah, Bo Nix has actually led Denver in rushing week 1 and week 2, which is not really what you want to see. But it is a positive light because it shows that your quarterback is dynamic and can get plays done with his feet. So how can he kind of help that out too?
He's already helped it. He's put it on film. You just said it. He's led the team with rushing 2 weeks in a row. So defensive coordinators are worried about Bo Nix. Yeah. They're worried about what he can do with his legs, with what he's done already. But now it's time for the other 10 guys around him to step up and make this run game go.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, it's time for Call Game. Each week, our amazing guests will pick a player that they think will play well against the upcoming matchup and call game. It's week 3, so the team that we're heading into is Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers for game 1 of this 2-game road trip. So, Orlando, who do you got?
I just said his name, Tyler Bradey. Can we get more of him? Last week he had 1 carry for 16 yards. I think he's earned the right to get more offensive snaps for this football team. And I know he's dynamic in the screen game. So if you're able to run the football, it leads to other things. But also the passing game leads to other things as well. When you call a pass, the threat of pass, or how wide receivers and tight ends, everybody releases, that's going to get defensive backs to backpedal and create a little bit more space. It's about getting downhill and now hitting those little gaps and creases and reading it one gap at a time and being as explosive as you can to be effective and efficient in the run game.
Bradey?
I'm going Jonathan Cooper. We got to make Baker Mayfield feel a little bit uncomfortable. He's been looking too confident, over nearly 500 passing yards and 5 touchdowns through 2 games. So I'm hoping the Broncos can come in and shake things up. Jonathan Cooper, 2 sacks through 2 games. He's got to get it going. Get after the quarterback.
All right, well, there you have it. We will see on Sunday who calls game, and you can let us know who you want to call games. So make sure you guys tweet us. For Denver 7's Bradey King, Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin, I'm the Denver Broncos team reporter Elisa Hernandez, and this is Broncos Weekend. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.